Before I turned 21, I was drowning in credit card debt. $5,000 might not sound like the end of the world to some people, but to me, as a broke college student with no savings, no plan, and zero financial education, it felt massive. I remember sitting on my bed, staring at my phone screen, heart pounding, looking at my credit card balance again. Every month, I made the minimum payment. Every month, the balance barely moved. I felt stuck, like I was digging a hole with a spoon. It was embarrassing. I didn't want to tell my friends, and I definitely didn't want to tell my parents. I just kept telling myself, I'll figure it out later. But later kept getting more expensive. Interest charges, late fees, and that constant feeling of shame, they started stacking up just like the debt. This is the story of how I finally stopped avoiding it and paid it all off before my 21st birthday. And I'm going to walk you through exactly how I did it, step by step, so you can start your own journey too. So, how did I even end up $5,000 in debt? Honestly, it didn't happen all at once. That's the scary part. It started small, like super small. I got my first credit card when I was 18. Just a $500 limit. I told myself I'd only use it for emergencies, but emergency turned into Uber Eats, or buying clothes I didn't need, or covering a night out when my debit card was low. And then I tell myself, it's fine, I'll pay it off next month. But next month always had another excuse. The limit got bumped to $1,000, then $2,500, then a second card. Before I knew it, I was juggling multiple cards and barely keeping up with minimum payments. And it wasn't like I was out here living some luxury life. It was just dumb daily spending that slowly added up. A new pair of sneakers here, streaming subscriptions, late night food runs, little things that felt harmless in the moment. No one teaches you how fast debt snowballs. And because I didn't understand how credit card interest worked, I kept making the same mistakes over and over. I thought I was fine as long as I wasn't missing payments, but I wasn't fine. I was stuck. And worst of all, I didn't even want to look at the balance anymore. The turning point came on a random Tuesday. I checked my email and saw a notification. Your minimum payment is due in 3 days. No big deal, I thought. I logged into my account and saw that my balance had hit $5,048.23. And for the first time, I felt panicked, not stressed, panicked, because I realized I'd been paying and paying, but I wasn't actually getting anywhere. The interest charges were basically eating up everything I sent in. I'd been spinning my wheels for months. I remember just sitting there staring at the screen, not even blinking. That night, I opened my notes app and typed how to pay off credit card debt fast. Then, what is the avalanche method? Then, how do people actually get out of debt? I went down a rabbit hole. And the more I learned, the angrier I got, not just at myself, but at the system, and how easy it is to fall into this trap, and how nobody really talks about it. That night, I made a decision. I'm not living like this anymore. No more minimum payments, no more ignoring it, no more lying to myself. I was going to pay off every single dollar, and I didn't care how long it took. So the next morning, I sat down with the notebook, opened my laptop, and faced the numbers head on. I wrote down every single credit card I had, the balance, the interest rate, the minimum payment. It was rough seeing it all laid out, but honestly, that was the first time I felt like I had some control. Then I picked a method. I chose the avalanche method, which means you pay off the card with the highest interest rate first while making minimum payments on the rest. It saves you more money in the long run, and I needed every dollar I could keep. Next, I made a realistic budget. Not one of those fake ones where you pretend you won't ever go out or buy coffee again. I made one that still let me live a little, but forced me to be honest. I tracked every dollar coming in and every dollar going out. I found small ways to cut back, canceled a couple subscriptions, switched to cooking instead of ordering takeout, started saying no more when friends wanted to do expensive things I couldn't afford. It wasn't easy, but once I saw where my money was actually going, I realized I had more power than I thought. I also set a goal. I wanted to be debt-free before my 21st birthday. That gave me a deadline. something real to aim for. From that point on, everything I did was filtered through one question. Will this get me closer to paying off my debt, or will it pull me further away? Cutting back helped, but it wasn't enough. I needed to bring in more money. So I started hustling, like really hustling. My first side gig, selling old clothes on Depop and Facebook Marketplace. Stuff I hadn't worn in a year. Sneakers, jackets, even a couple old tech gadgets. I made about $300 in my first weekend. Next, I picked up some freelance work online. Nothing fancy, just small gigs like proofreading, editing, and helping people with school projects. I used platforms like Fiverr and Upwork and slowly built a little stream of extra income. Then I started babysitting and doing random tasks on TaskRabbit. One time I got paid to assemble IKEA furniture for someone. Not glamorous, but every dollar counted. On weekends, I did food delivery, DoorDash and Uber Eats. I'd study during the day, then hit the road in the evenings. I set many challenges for myself, like make $50 before going home. It added up faster than I expected. Here's the thing. None of these side hustles made me rich, but they gave me momentum. Every extra $20 or $50 went straight to my highest interest card. And with each payment, I felt lighter. I also started keeping a little tracker, just a simple progress bar in my notes app. Watching it slowly move towards zero kept me going. Some nights were exhausting. I'd be tired, hungry, and wondering if it was even worth it. But then I'd think about my goal, debt-free by 21, and I'd keep going. Of course, it wasn't all smooth. There were setbacks. Lots of them. One month, my laptop broke right before finals. That wiped out almost $400 I'd saved for a credit card payment. Another time, I completely burned out from juggling school, work, and side gigs, and I just stopped for a week. There were days where I'd slip. I'd spend too much going out or stressed by something online just to feel better, and every time I messed up, I'd hear that little voice in my head. See? You're never going to finish this. But I had to remind myself, setbacks don't mean failure. They just mean I'm human. So instead of giving up, I made space for small resets. I'd review my budget, reflect on what triggered the slip, and forgive myself. Then I'd get back on track the next day. One thing that really helped, tracking my progress visually. I made a little debt thermometer. Every $250 I paid off, I'd fill in a new line. Silly? Maybe, but it made the journey feel real. I also followed other people's debt-free stories on TikTok and Reddit. Seeing that other people had done it, even with bigger amounts, kept me inspired. And every time I felt stuck, I'd go back to my why. Freedom, peace of mind, a clean start before 21. That kept me going even on the hardest days. I still remember the exact moment I made my final payment. I was sitting at my desk late at night. Just me, my laptop, and the last $217.44 left on my credit card. I hovered over the submit payment button for a second, took a deep breath, and clicked. That was it. $5,000 gone. Paid off. Done. I just sat there in silence for a few seconds. No confetti, no applause. No one even knew. But inside, I felt this wave of calm, like I could finally breathe again. I didn't realize how much mental space that debt had been taking up until it was gone. The guilt, the stress, the late night anxiety spirals, all of it started to fade. I wasn't rich. I wasn't suddenly financially perfect, but I was free, and that felt priceless. And weirdly enough, I didn't cry. I just smiled because I'd done something that past me never believed was possible. I took control. I stuck with it, and I finished. And that gave me a confidence I'd never felt before. Not just about money, but about myself. If you're in credit card debt right now or trying to avoid it, here are the biggest things I learned. 1, face the numbers. Avoiding your debt won't make it go away. Sit down, look at your balances, and write it all out. Knowing your starting point is step 1. 2, pick a payoff strategy. The avalanche method helped me save on interest, but the snowball method, where you pay off the smallest balance first, works great if you need quick wins. Just pick one and stick to it. 3, track your progress visually. I know it sounds cheesy, but watching my debt shrink gave me a real sense of momentum. It turns this big, scary number into something you can control. 4, don't rely on just cutting expenses. Budgeting helps, but increasing your income, even a little, can speed things up fast. Think part-time gigs, selling stuff, freelancing, tutoring, whatever works for you. 5, build a tiny emergency fund. Even just $300 in a separate savings account can stop you from falling back into debt when life throws something at you. 6, be kind to yourself. This isn't just a math problem, it's an emotional thing. You'll mess up, you'll get tired, you'll want to quit. That's normal. Just keep going. And finally, know that this is possible. You don't have to be rich. You don't need to know everything. You just need a plan, consistency, and time. Debt doesn't define you. How you deal with it does. So that's my story, how I paid off $5,000 in credit card debt before turning 21. If I can do it, trust me, you can too. Remember, it starts with facing the problem, making a plan, and taking small steps every day. If this video helped you, please hit that like button. What's your biggest money challenge right now? Drop a comment below and let's talk about it. You're not alone on this journey. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.